My life began in a timber shack in late 13th century England, under kings who preferred the clash of steel to the quiet of a harvest. I never dreamed of becoming a knight. My dream was simpler, to be a carpenter, to feel the grain of wood under my hands. But a peasant boy's dreams are worth less than the dirt he sleeps on. Parliament had already decided my fate. By law, every able-bodied man and boy had to practice with the longbow, not for sport, but for war. The string bit my fingers raw. My shoulders burned. The men called it building character. I called it pain. By 12, they took my child's bow and gave me the real thing, a war bow made of yew, as tall as I was. The first time I pulled it to my ear, I felt a tear in my shoulder.
Again, the master said.
No one cared. My body began to change. My left arm thickened, the bones themselves bending under the strain. My spine started to twist. The village healer saw it and called it the mark of a true bowman, as if a title could straighten a crooked back. The reality was not glory, but a 20-mile march each day in thin leather boots, carrying 6 pounds of gear on my back. We ate bread hard enough to crack teeth and slept with our precious bowstrings tucked under our shirts to keep them from the rain. Men vanished on the march, some from death, others from desertion. I could never decide which was the better fate. When we reached the battlefield, the ground was already a slurry of mud and blood. The horn blew. I drew, aimed at a distant line of men, and loosed my first arrow into the chaos. I didn't see a face, but I heard a scream. Then I fired again and again until my arms were shaking with spasms. Afterward, I looted boots from a corpse for my first pay. The army rarely paid on time, if at all. Plunder wasn't greed, it was survival. That was the day I understood. War was not about glory.
I limped home months later, alive but haunted. Ilara, the girl I had loved since childhood, ran to me. The worst part was, I wasn't sure if the boy she remembered was still there either.
I missed the births of all my children, returning from one campaign to find a new baby I'd never met.
In one battle, I faced a young squire. He stumbled over a corpse, and I plunged my dagger into his exposed neck. The king always called again. I spent more of my life on the march than in my own bed. At night, I would wake up to the phantom sound of battle horns. I would flinch away, haunted by the faces of the dead. 10 years passed. My body was a grotesque map of my profession. My spine was curved like a bent staff. My left arm bulged with unnatural muscle. My fingers were as hard as horn, useless for anything but the bowstring. I became a stranger in my own home. By 40, I was an old man, but the recruiters stopped calling for me. Now, they called for my sons. I died in a damp bed, my body finally giving up. They buried me in a shallow grave behind the church, with no banners and no songs. Years pass. The bow you once worshipped is replaced by the crossbow, then the musket.
Centuries from now, perhaps an archaeologist will unearth my bones.
They will see the twisted spine, the overdeveloped arm, the deep grooves in the finger bones, and they will know what I was. But they will never know who I was. The boy who dreamed of being a carpenter,